we're off and running on the Krueg Show. Hello, everybody. Great morning. Niner practice down in Santa Clara coming up later on this morning. First open locker room. And welcome to a brand new show. Damon and I will be doing ball.
You've already screwed it up. It's not every Monday morning. It's every morning after 49ers football.
Right. It'll be mostly Monday mornings. Mostly Monday mornings. And we're going to give you guys, the audience, the chance to name the show. We started off with 49er wake-up call, and we'll stay with 49er wake-up call. We'll stay with 49er wake-up call unless you guys in the chat come up with something better. But yes.
Jack and Ozzy are about to join us.
No problem.
Yeah. It's morning time on a Labor Day, which means the kids are home. Boys, would you please get out of here? Thank you very much. Gotta go. Jillian! I love you. I love you, buddy. It is the wake-up call. There's no doubt about that,
The wake-up call in a house full of little kids. My house is full of teenagers, so it's not quite...
We're on
not quite
levels.
the same scene.
Jillian, you've got to be kidding. Come on. I love you, boys. Yeah, they'll be there later. Okay.
Pure Dub says it's a
right.
shit show, boys.
It is.
Maybe that's the name of the show. Maybe that could be the name of the show. It's a shit show.
The morning crap fest. Bye-bye. Yeah. Have a great day at the zoo. Bye-bye. Love you. Bye-bye.
I think I'll go with, how about morning roast? Should we go with morning roast?
Well, I do have my coffee. Maybe we should go with Murph and Mac. Would that be a show that the Bay Area woke up for? So Larry, here's what I do
Lazy
know.
Labor Day?
Here's what I do know. And I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. It's officially football season. I watched all kinds of college football over the weekend.
I did too. I stayed up late last night watching my A&M Aggies put one on New Mexico State. And because I didn't watch it on Saturday. I got to watch A&M every week. So there you go. Actually it was a pretty successful weekend for yours truly. I bet on the UW Huskies over Boise State. They covered for fun. Then I took Texas Tech in Wyoming. They got up 17-0, only to see Wyoming come all the way back and beat them, and they looked really bad in the process, so I lost that bet. But I won last night. I had Florida State against LSU on the money line. Florida State was an underdog in the Orlando, Florida game. Between Florida State and LSU. So I'm 2 for 3. 2 for 3 out of the chute on my college football.
Nobody
feeling
gives
good.
A shit about your bets. Nobody.
I do.
No, that's good. I'm glad you're off to a really nice start. I liked Oregon State yesterday. Dabbled that. It was easy money down at San Jose State. Sorry, Sparty. But it really was. It was just good to have football back on TV. And the fact that it is Steelers week, means football's here. That's the last Sunday, Larry. That's our last Sunday without NFL football between now and, essentially the Super Bowl, except for the bye week. You know what I mean? So it's one of my favorite times of the year. When I think of my favorite times of the sports year, it's always now. I love March and I love September because we get the tournament in March and we get the, single most desirable sport in all of America, football, coming back. And look, I know we're here to talk NFL and 49ers, and I want to know what you think is going to go down at camp today. If we're going to get that Nick Bosa signing, good Lord, this is officially a problem. There's just no way around it. You know what? Forget what I was going to say about Colorado and Dion and what an incredible turn of events that was. We'll get to all of that. The 49ers have screwed up this Nick Bosa thing every single way since Sunday, and they cannot explain away, they cannot reason away, they cannot present in any way that they have done the right, proper, steady Eddie evaluation job here. The 49ers have fucked this up. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I shouldn't.
Well, I'll push back because it takes two sides. It takes two sides to negotiate. You could have all the best intentions in the world. And if the other side is reading your side going, hey, they're desperate,
I heard
let's
it's
ask
$4
for the
million.
world
I heard it's $4 million
per year on a 5-year deal. So we're talking about $20 million of net difference. And then the other part about it is we don't know the guarantee. For all we know, we'll find out here at the end. But how much guaranteed money are they asking for? The record is Joey Bosa at 102. Is this agent going, hey, you know what? We want 150 guaranteed? Because 150 guaranteed would probably make me trade Nick Bosa.
How about this? Do you think the 49ers and Jed York would spend $150 million on a Super Bowl? Because without him, you don't have one. With him, maybe you do. Without him, you definitely don't. So you're flushing an entire season expectations without getting this deal done. And that's the way I look at it. They've had 2 years to prepare for this moment. They've had multiple seasons to adjust their cap for all the wiggle room they would need. Now, if you're telling me Team Bosa is full-on set sail team unreasonable,
I mean, everybody's got to walk.
Larry, that should have been identified around draft time, and you trade him for the massivest haul that any team has seen in a really long time.
Well, wait. Okay, he could have asked for anything. It's a negotiation. If they decided that, we'll wait him out. He'll come down, and then he hasn't come down. Then there you have it. I mean, it takes two sides to tango on this thing. It's easy to blame the 49ers on this. They have a player that they absolutely want to sign. If they don't have Nick Bosa, they're not a Super Bowl contender or some reasonable facsimile.
If they don't have Nick Bosa, the Seahawks are winning the West. How about that?
I don't think so. I totally disagree. But, I mean, if they don't have Nick Bosa and they don't have anything, that's one thing. If they don't have Nick Bosa, but, I mean, like, to give you an example. What if Nick Bosa wants $150 million guaranteed and won't back down? Won't give in.
I'd give it to him. I'd spread it out over as many years as you needed to, and there you go. Done. Deal. He's the best defensive player this team has had and employed since Patrick Willis and a smidgen of Aldon Smith for, a 10-game run.
Are you being this harsh on the Chiefs? Are the Chiefs done without Chris Jones?
I don't know if the Chiefs are done without Chris Jones. They're the type of team that isn't just leaning on, and they got Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes clears all problems right off the deck. Like, he is good enough to make up for the touchdown that you might be allowing without Chris Jones. That's just straight up. I mean, they got Patrick Mahomes. They got Andy Reid. They got.
What do you do if you've got an impasse? What do? You trade him. You got two options. You can sign him and then kiss off a bunch of your core next year, or you can trade him.
Like, that's happening anyway. It's happening anyway. So, I mean, you can't.
Well, but then you're going to kiss off more because it's a hard cap and there's only so many dollars.
Sure.
So you can retain your core minus Juszczyk next year with him or without him, and with him maybe you can retain your core minus Juszczyk, Armstead, Kittle, and Ayuk. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's really what we're talking about here. So it's a hard cap sport.
I don't think $4 million bridges the gap between all of those players and what Nick
$4 million per year, Damon, on a 5-year deal. They are $20 million apart.
Right, but it's not like $20 million splashed over one cap cycle.
I'm just saying it's easy to just say sign him. The bottom line is they got to. I'm okay with them not signing him to this point. It's a negotiation, and do you have to have him signed? Yeah, you have to have him signed. Do you have to have him signed here in the next 24 hours? Yeah, you got to have him signed in the next 24 hours. My argument would be this: it's time. It's time to make a decision. The one thing that you can't the win is you get him signed. Or the win is you get him traded, but you cannot not sign him. Don't have him for Pittsburgh. Get off to a slow start. Piss away the number 1 seed and home field advantage in the NFC Championship game, and then sign him in Week 4. That's a lose. That is a losing proposition. You've lost your value I never like putting all the value in one player anyway in a sport like football. The question I would have is, John Lynch asked me, or I asked John Lynch a direct question. I said, is there any chance, any percentage chance you trade Nick Bosa? And he's like, no, real simple. All right. Well, that sounds good. That sounds good. So that takes that, option off the table.
Right.
But now that means you have to get him signed right now.
Right. I also heard Mike Dunleavy Jr. saying he's not trading Jordan Poole at 5 minutes before he did
4
it.
years,
you know what I mean?
For 4 years, and he didn't even make it 4 days.
Look,
I know executives lie all the time.
Right. They lie to the media all the time.
My point is, it's just that you can sit here and say, get it done, get it done, get it done. It ain't our money, and it's not our negotiation, and we don't know who's wrong in the negotiation.
I will say this.
For all we know, that they sometimes, 90% of the time, people bend a little bit. What if his agent saying, I'm not bending at all. They just traded Trey Lance. I see weakness. We got him over a barrel. We're going to ask for it. We're going to demand it, and we're not walking away. We're not going to in any way compromise. We want what we want. The question I would have is, John Lynch says they're not going to trade him. But does that mean nobody submitted a trade offer?
Well, I guess my point is, I don't care what the outcome is. They've screwed up this negotiation.
It's not done.
But the fact that it's not done is my evidence that they've screwed this up. This should have been concluded by now. Like you said, business should have been concluded by now.
Yeah, no, but you know what? That's too easy.
Larry, hold on. They have screwed this up. Full stop. This is the best player that they have. They have all this quarterback rookie deal, inexpensive room going on to be able to afford the football team that is literally built around Nick Bosa.
He wants $150 million guaranteed.
Operation is built around Nick Bosa. To not have him a week before you're playing the Steelers is, to me, it's borderline negligence. I mean, let's see how it ends.
Well, why is it their fault though? Why is it not his fault?
Their fault because Nick Bosa.
Why is it not his fault?
Okay, I'll tell you why. Because they need the player more than the player needs the team.
But that doesn't. So what? It takes two sides to tango. I mean, it's a deal. You got to make a deal.
Most valuable team in the NFL. They get all the money in the world.
You're going to be the one complaining next year when they don't have any of these players.
I'm not worried about next year, Larry. The 2024.
You're going to be worried about next year.
I'll worry about next year. I am only worried about Pittsburgh and this season, and that's all. You cannot. This whole concept.
But that doesn't take into account. Damon, you're acting like you're children at this point.
No, you can.
What if all of a sudden signing this one player makes you blow up your entire team next year?
Okay.
Then you're going to blow up your entire team?
Then you should have traded him by now.
I would say this. It's a negotiation. It's going down to the wire. I didn't need him in camp. I didn't care about him missing camp. But I agree that if they don't sign him and they wait 3 weeks, it's on them.
It's a
if you sign him right now, he could still easily be there with a couple practices for Sunday.
Right. He could.
And maybe you're getting your price here.
Sure. But
this is the way negotiations go.
No.
And then why is it their fault, not his? For all you know, he upped his demands. While they thought, okay, he's going to come back to us,
as he should.
He might have upped his demands.
Leverage in the world. He's got the most leverage he could possibly have as a player in his career right now. And he should exercise all of it. I don't carry a torch song or a bucket of sympathy for any of these football teams that literally take human beings, put them through the meat grinder with non-guaranteed contracts. Every single player should ring these football teams for every penny that they can possibly get.
All right, let's say he wants the kind of money that you're looking at your cap and you said, you know what? We can give him this money, guys, and get it done. Make the fans really happy. Make Damon really happy. But you do realize, guys, we'll be saying goodbye to Brandon Ayuk.
Okay, well, there's a reality.
Then what are you going to do?
Possibility they could be saying goodbye to Brandon Ayuk with or without him.
Yeah, but it makes it official. So John Lynch walks in the room and says, "Guys, we can sign him. We can sign him for what Nick wants, but we will be getting rid of Brandon Ayuk."
Okay, Brandon Ayuk is just another wide receiver. They literally fall off trees every single football season.
I would argue that
no player like Nick Bosa who falls off a tree.
I would argue that how many sacks did Nick Bosa have in the playoffs last year?
No, he did not have a playoff sack, but he is Mr. Pressure. He's everything.
Every good offensive coordinator can get rid, do a 3-step drop and neutralize the pass rush. So
why even immediately line, Larry? Why
immediately negated Nick Bosa. I'm just saying there's got to be a price. There's got to be you have a budget. I have a budget. Everybody's got a budget. It sucks to have to live within a budget, but guess what? Everybody's got one in the grown-up world. We all have to live with our budgets, and you know what? People stick it to us all the time. Hey, you know what? You thought you were going to pay $10 for this, but you're not. You're going to pay $20 for this. I don't have $20. All right, well, guess what? Something else is going to have to give then in your budget. You're either not going to pay for cable, mortgage, whatever. Kids can't go to daycare, whatever it is, and you're going to have to make that call. So then it changes. The equation changes.
Is the mortgage. He is something that you can't decide to not pay. He's not cable. He's not a pizza. He's not the extra martini at the end of the night. He is the foundation upon which every single Steve Wilkes defensive idea is being built upon, and he hasn't even met the guy yet. Why'd you go out and sign Javon Hargrave? How come you didn't sign DeForest Buckner? You're going to get to this moment and screw it up again? Larry, let's not carry any more water for the 49ers.
I'm not carrying shit. I'm not carrying shit.
Nonsense that
I'm not carrying anybody's water. I'm just telling you in a negotiation. I'm telling you in a negotiation, there's two sides, and there's two sides to it, and you have no idea what they're offering, what he's asking for. For all you know, he could have doubled. He could have doubled his ask in the last 24 hours.
I know. Then he doesn't want to be on the team, and he should have been traded.
And that's possible. It's possible.
All right.
Well, I'm just saying you're prejudging this as the Niners screwed this up. The Niners screwed this up. Maybe Nick Bosa screwed it up. Maybe Nick Bosa's agent screwed it up. It's a dispute, a financial dispute between two parties. I don't personalize things. I'm not
personalizing things either, but let me put this out there in a way that should personally affect if you're a 49er fan. Without Nick Bosa, you ain't winning anything this year. Without Nick Bosa, you should have.
I disagree.
Without Nick Bosa, you should have kept Trey Lance and just turned this into we're developing a quarterback for the future.
You have to play him. You have to sign him or trade him, and you have to do it in the next 48 hours.
Right.
That's the way I look at it. And I don't look at it as you have to sign him, because what if he wants outrageous demands? What if he wants things that are going to bust your budget and send half your team packing? He's not worth that. He absolutely is not worth that. He's not worth abandoning 4 or 5 good players.
His job to make sure that there's wiggle room on everything and everyone. That's what he does.
There's a chance Marate's trying to win the deal, but there's also a chance that the deal has become elusive because they're asking for outrageous demands.
And the salary cap is
what if he's
imaginary?
What if he wants there is a walkaway price, obviously. Well, what's your walkaway price?
If there is a walkaway
negotiation,
price, it should have been identified and realized weeks ago. It should have been like how they did not understand this player was going. How do you not understand the person that you're negotiating with? They had an entire offseason to get this done. They know that Bosa wanted to set the market. And
I'm okay with it not being done right now. I'm not okay with it not being done in the next 48 hours because what does he really need? He needs 2 or 3 practices. He's a defensive end. I saw Fred Dean step off a week 8 and get 4 sacks, didn't play the entire preseason, didn't play the first couple months of the year. Defensive ends and a wide 9 don't need camp, and they definitely don't need preseason. Well, they just need a couple practices. So I'm okay right now. I need this thing to come to a resolution in the next 48 to 72 hours, period. Or I need to move off. Now, let's talk about moving off for a second. There are teams out there that potentially would trade for Nick Bosa. Would you take a couple defensive ends from the New York Jets? Would you take Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald and a draft pick for Nick Bosa?
John Lynch. I would fire Parag Marathe if they don't get this deal done. This, to me, is the single best football player I've seen with my own two eyes put on a 49ers uniform in years. He is up there with the Patrick Willis, Frank Gore, special top-shelf liquor players I have ever seen in my life. He is a one-man game-wrecking, offensive game plan destroying son of a bitch of the first degree. Nick Bosa, to me, is irreplaceable. If you're going to move on from him, great. But you are completely stepping off that one line with the Philadelphia Eagles. You're just a football team in the NFC. Are you still a contender? Maybe.
What's the walk-away price?
Okay, so he wants...
these are the tough questions. What's the walk-away price? There's got to be a walk-away price. It's not just here, it's a hard cap. It's a hard cap.
$40 million? Is that comfortable enough for you to be my walk-away?
Teasy says $40 million a year guaranteed as the walk-away.
Okay.
What if he's asking for it?
Teasy and I think alike. Okay, so a $40 million a year walk-away price. Your walk-away price today, you're going to look like the Raiders walking away from Khalil Mack 3 years from now when, Drake Jackson's making $40 million a year. It's just
the team they traded Khalil Mack to hasn't won shit, and they already parted ways with Khalil Mack. So that wasn't a win for the Bears.
First of all, when he got to the Bears, the Bears had a decent amount of success with Khalil Mack. They really did. They went to the playoffs. He was a good player for them.
He's not there.
He's been a little streaky. He's massive games and hard to find in other games. But Khalil Mack was not a bad deal for the Bears because
my point is just that you've got to decide. It's decision time. I'll agree that it's decision time. But I'm not going to – first of all, you're going to fire John Lynch. The Niners have been in 3 of the last 4 NFC championship games. The Niners have one of the most loaded rosters. He's the face of the franchise. He's the balancing act to Shanahan. You're not going to fire John Lynch. That's outrageous.
Are they allowed to be totally screw up on? I mean, from Solomon Thomas, I don't forget – now you get the Trey.
Are you going to fire your financial guy because
you're going to walk away?
You're going to fire your financial guy because one of the stocks in your mutual fund is not performing, but the rest of it's making you a mint?
No, look.
That's really what we're talking about. We are talking about 1 or 2 decisions that have screwed up. They have been – the bottom line is the win. The bottom line is they've been in 3 of the last 4 NFC championship games.
Right.
That is the bottom line.
I don't know how much John Lynch really has to do with that. It's Kyle's show. Kyle's not getting fired. If Nick Bosa is not playing this season for the 49ers –
you don't think the 49ers have a talented roster?
Yeah, they're very good, but there's no one on the roster more talented than Nick Bosa, which I guess is my point and underlying argument. Without him, the rest of it really doesn't matter that much. So the spectacular football team that you have built without this guy ain't nearly as spectacular as you think it is. If you're telling me, hey, Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey, you know what? They're going to average 42 points per game this year, and I promise you that's how great things are going to go. Fantastic.
You sound like a Jerry Jones owner. The Athletic came out with a list of the top evaluators in the NFL. John Lynch and Adam Peters are named as top 5 evaluators. Now, Nick Bosa's agent could have asked for some outrageous sum, and you're going to advocate dumping John Lynch. Dumping John Lynch, a top 5 evaluator who was handpicked by your head coach simply because an agent has made some crazy demand that you're not going to kowtow to. I'll agree to this. This has to get done now because your whole game plan is to hit the ground running.
It should have gotten done a couple weeks ago because now leaves you you don't have enough time to really pivot time. Like the decision on this should have been already made. This is an embarrassing.
But this is a negotiation. No, come on, this is the way these things go.
Negotiation, dude. This is something that has gone wrong.
It's called a holdout. It's not the first one, and it ain't going to be the last one. And sometimes you got to see these things through. But my point is this: it's decision time. It's the Monday. We're 6 days away. If you get him signed today, he walks in, he goes to practice. You have 2 or 3 practices, and everything's copacetic. If you don't get him signed today, I think today is the day you gotta seriously fully look at trading him. Now,
you just made my argument for me. If you sign him today, everything's great.
Today's the day.
Sign him today. You're in full-on scramble mode before kickoff. The week before kickoff, it is.
Well, you don't. First of all, for all you know,
level of drama that never ends.
All you know, they've already negotiated a trade, so they may not be in scramble mode. That's an assumption, and we don't know that. I mean, they could be in scramble mode. They said publicly they weren't going to trade him, but there was also reports that they were entertaining trades. If Miami came knocking and they said, hey, here's Christian Wilkins, Jalen Phillips, and a pick, I'm doing it. If the Jets come knocking and they say, here's Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, and a pick, I'd probably do it. I don't look at any one player that doesn't touch the football as just absolutely, especially a guy like Bosa, who, I've seen too many great pass rushers neutralized in the last 10 years by offensive coaches who just said, 3-step drop balls coming out, so much for Bosa. So I'm not going to sign him to a dollar figure that prevents me from having Kittle and Ayuk and Juice and Armstead and Trent Williams, Fred Warner. So if he wants, there's always a chance he could want outrageous money. $102 million is what Joey Bosa got. It's the same agent. So I would say, let's say if you're doing a negotiation and the agent that signed Joey Bosa is the same agent, what would you think you'd budget for? 110 to 120 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
If he wants 20 million more guaranteed, the answer's got to be no. There's got to be a price. There's got to be a walkaway price. It's not as simple as, man, John Lynch screwed it up. Maybe the agent screwed it up. Maybe at the end of the day, Nick Bosa, who doesn't live in California, maybe Nick Bosa wants to play in Florida. Maybe Nick Bosa wants to play with the Jets. Maybe Nick Bosa doesn't want to be here anymore.
Figured that all out before. It's too late.
Maybe they know. Maybe they've known that, but he's driving a hard bargain. This is what happens in negotiation. There's nothing easy about these things, especially when you're talking about guys at the top of the shelf. Why? Because they set their own new levels. And the Niners said, hey, you know what? We expect him to set a new level, 110 million. You could absolutely be right. They could have botched this thing to hell. They could have totally been unrealistic about what he was going to ask for and totally screwed this up and have to, have their feet held to the fire. Or it could be that they couldn't get Bosa's agent on the phone until 2 weeks ago. It could be that his price has gone up. It could be that as soon as they traded Trey Lance, the agent said, there's blood in the water. Now that they traded this guy, they can't trade you, Nick. We'll double our ask.
Are there any more flowers?
What if that happened?
Are there any more flowers of maybe you'd like to put in your bouquet of excuses? Here's the bottom line.
There is no bottom line on this. You don't have all the information.
Player on the football team, you should have him on your football team before football season starts. There you go. There's my argument. And
I would argue your argument is way too simplistic because you're so emotional about it.
I'm not emotional at all.
You're advocating firing John Lynch. How could you say that's not an emotional response? My God, you want to fire the general manager of the team because of this one negotiation?
Your head. Come on, Larry. John Lynch isn't the bottom line decision maker on anything. He hands papers.
You just advocated firing him.
Someone's got it, dude. This is ridiculous. First of all, look.
You really want to fire the general manager over this? Really?
If he is not on this team, that's the first official. How does somebody get fired? Yes. No. What do you want to extend John Lynch over this? Yeah, somebody's here, a giant Niner fan on your chat line says, Damon's argument doesn't hold water. The Niners haven't won anything with Bosa. He doesn't make that much of a difference. Okay, well, based on that, the 49ers haven't won anything with any of these guys. The 49ers haven't won anything since Steve Young.
But look how long. Look, I mean,
ridiculous.
Come on, seriously. They've taken years to build this thing up.
Right.
You're advocating tearing it all down because some agent has asked for something outrageous.
Larry.
We don't know what they're asking for, Damon. You have no idea what they're asking for.
They're asking for the most amount of
You're
money
sitting there in the corner of the room like a 7-year-old saying, "Do it." You have no idea what they're asking for. You're just saying, get it done.
That's the thing. I really don't care what they're asking for.
I know you don't.
There are certain guys where you say, we're going to make that work. He is one of those guys.
It's a hard cap. It's a hard cap. Every dollar you spend here, you're not spending there.
Right. But it's also...
You can't allow one guy to blow up your team.
Room in any cap. Caps... They do sound like this hard thing. They're also very much an illusion or a house of mirrors where you can go ahead and take this mirror and put it this way. Now you reflect this price with a signing bonus and this player renegotiated. And now we have more room all of a sudden to do this over here. You literally have an entire team.
It's a hard cap. It's not the NBA soft cap. It's a hard cap.
Right. But you can.
So that means when the money's spent, the money's spent.
Hold on, Larry, are you going to let me talk at all here this morning?
Well, no, I'm just saying you're going on this verbal diarrhea of fire the general manager, and it's like, that sounds like a 7-year-old. When you say fire the general manager over a negotiation just because it's getting to the 11th hour, that sounds ridiculous.
If you don't
I'm just responding to the ridiculousness.
If you don't have Nick Bosa, you're basically declaring this is a year of... This is the rebuild right here. If you don't have Nick Bosa right now, your window to win a championship is closed and you're in a whole new window, which means it would have been the perfect time to give Trey Lance 17 starts. I mean, you got to have some of your decisions actually link up together, Larry. You can't just look at the...
First of all, that's a totally different argument altogether. You're going with your best quarterback.
They're directly connected, okay?
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Because you are
not. No, they're not. You're going to play your best quarterback. I was at all the practices. Brock Purdy was easily better than Trey Lance.
Great, but Trey Lance is the kind of guy that you've invested so much in as a front office that you don't walk away from that level of investment.
You could make an argument, Damon, that having Brock Purdy helps you sign Nick Bosa. He's got more years left on his rookie deal.
Right.
Having Trey Lance hurts your chances to sign Nick Bosa.
You're paying nobody, or you're not that he's a nobody, but you're paying a guy. Your starting quarterback makes so little money, he doesn't even affect the salary cap.
Right. Which makes it easier to sign Nick Bosa, not harder.
Okay, but if it's so easy, where's the result? I guess would be my point.
We'll find out. We're going to find out if there's a result. I would say this.
Hey, let's make it.
You have to want
to talk about this through the prism of the front office and a salary cap.
No, I'm just saying you can't.
Let's talk football.
You can't. It's not a simple
yes or no.
No, they're not better with Nick Bosa. If Nick Bosa is making $45 million guaranteed and you have to kiss off your core.
Well, $45 million guaranteed. Patrick Mahomes isn't getting that. So we
don't know we don't know what the ask is. And there's a very good chance, since his agent is Joey's agent and Joey got $102 million, far over the last guy, that they probably want at least 120 guaranteed. Maybe 130, maybe 140. Who knows? Maybe they came to you and said, we want the whole damn thing guaranteed. And you're just saying, bow to it. I'm saying there's a walkaway price. There's only so much that you can pay. All I'm saying is it's go time.
Called him on his bluff by this point in time. It is.
I think today's a good day. Today's a perfect day for it. Today's a perfect day for it. You've already negotiated out probably a trade or two. Today's a perfect day. You want to, it's Monday of week 1. We want you here by week 1. We need it done in the next 24 hours. If it doesn't get done, we're moving off. And we would trade him. And I would trade him. I absolutely would. I wouldn't even blink. The guy who was hurt a ton in college, he's a great, great player. There's no question about it. But who's to say? I mean, the only thing worse than not signing him would be signing him, having him have some record-setting amount of money, and then getting hurt. So I don't love the idea of putting all your eggs in one basket. But you know what? I'll do it for Nick Bosa because he had 18 and a half sacks. He's the reigning defensive player of the year. But all I'm saying is it's a negotiation. And now we're getting right down to it. And to me, it either has to get done or they have to move on. That is my stance on it. Get it done in the next 24 hours or move off of them. Do not go. What you don't want to do is you don't want to go into week 1, not have them, lose to the Steelers. Go into week 2, not have them, lose to the Rams. Okay, suddenly be staring there at 0-2, and then go, okay, now we're going to kowtow.
Now you're 0-2 because you started on the road. You don't have Nick Bosa. You never made a trade. John Lynch still the best GM in football as far as you're concerned?
I think it's a major gaffe if they don't get him signed, and it's not that he's the best GM in football. I'm not firing my general manager.
He's not the general manager.
Yes, he is, and I'm not firing the general manager over Nick Bosa's contract.
The guy who has all the final to say on every roster decision is your general manager. Kyle Shanahan is the 49ers general manager.
No, he's not. He's not.
John Lynch is in the sidecar of every decision that Kyle Shanahan is driving the motorcycle on. Okay?
Kyle Shanahan has the final say on the roster, but John has a lot of say on the draft and free agency. They work together. I'm just saying, you're talking about dumping a general manager that has probably been your best general manager in years. And you have one of the most loaded rosters by all accounts. I think, and you're saying dump them just because Bosa's not done here.
Look,
the Bosa deal's not done.
You go ahead and have the next 20 drafts. In the next 20 drafts, there's a very good chance you won't select a player who's even in the neighborhood of caliber of player that Nick Bosa lives in every day. He's that good. He's that much of a difference maker.
Who can also be neutralized.
That special. Well, it's a football team's job to figure out how to neutralize strengths. And then with Nick being neutralized, that's why you went out and you signed Hargrave. What's the whole point of having Hargrave if you don't have Nick Bosa?
Well, the whole point of having Hargrave is having another guy in your front four that can draw double teams.
Right.
I mean, obviously they want Nick Bosa. It's about a price.
Right. Well,
it's a negotiation.
I would have done it.
And there's nuance to negotiations.
I'd be worried about the rest of the future when the future gets here. The only season of football the 49ers should be concerned with is the 2023 season of football that they are.
But see, that's not how it works. That's not really how it works.
No, but that's the thing.
That's why you're not a general manager. No, because a general manager has to work on this year.
Larry,
and
you're
next
not a
year.
general manager either. Okay?
I'm not. But I'm just saying I'm not making outrageous statements that next year doesn't matter. Next year does matter.
All the moves that have been made in the past 2 or 3 seasons should have been focused on this point, on this moment in time. If the 49ers, knowing that Joey Bosa's agent plays hardball, they shouldn't have been expecting this to be softball. And they should have come in with a bigger offer than they might have even opened up with. What if
the only thing is you don't know. This is all speculation. I know, but this is all speculation. But I'm not assuming to know. You are assuming.
I'm not assuming to know.
You're basically saying you're blaming Lynch. For all you know, for all you know, the agent could have rolled in the last 72 hours and said, you know what? That was yesterday's price. Now we want a lot more. We don't know. We don't know. So, I mean, dumping the general manager, getting all emotional, saying that next year doesn't matter when next year does matter, because next year you're going to have to be the general manager as well. And next year the fans are going to have expectations as well.
Season to tinker your cap and manipulate guys and renegotiate over here and over there and this, that, the other thing.
It can always be massaged, but I'm just saying, you're assuming that the 49ers screwed up. For all you know, the agent was a bad faith negotiator. We don't know. That at the end of the day, that's all I'm saying. We don't know. So stop assuming that we do. He could have been a bad faith negotiation.
Player on your team, on your football team.
I know, but that's too simplistic. No, it's not. Too simplistic. Yes, it is.
You can really overcomplicate it if you want to. You can overcomplicate it if you want to.
It's a negotiation, Damon. You have no idea. For all you know, the Niners offered a record amount of money. What if the Niners offered a record amount of money?
Salvo better been a record amount of money. The deal to sign Nick
what if it was?
Has always been the 32-something million that Aaron Donald makes plus a cherry on top of that. So I thought 35, 36, 37.
My point is just that we don't know.
38.
You could be right.
If that's what's happening, then yeah, you should have walked away. And that number was probably on the table weeks ago. So
you could be right. It could be Krueg being stubborn. But it also could be Bosa being completely unreasonable.
I don't think this is a guy you'd be stubborn with. By the way, happy football season.
I'm just saying there's a chance that Krueg is being incredibly stubborn and wanting to win the deal because that's his area of expertise. And there's a chance that Bosa's agent is operating out of poor faith.
That's great.
Or is moving the goalposts, or doesn't want to be here. The guy lives in Florida. There's a chance he doesn't want to be here, Damon.
Do you think
there is a chance
49ers fan, a single 49ers fan is rooting for Krueg to win a deal more than they're rooting for the team to win a Super Bowl?
No, but that same group of people is going to be really wanting to win a Super Bowl next year too. Okay, and if you decided this year you're going to kowtow to Bosa,
so now we're worried about repeating in the Super Bowl you didn't even win yet. Again,
they haven't won with him yet.
Right.
I mean, if he's just the dream player, why haven't they won?
Since his rookie year, they've been in 3 of the last 4 title games. The only time they missed it is when he was hurt and unavailable.
He didn't do anything in the playoffs last year. If we're going to play this game, then I can play it too. He didn't do anything in the playoffs.
Get to the playoffs, Larry.
But he didn't do anything in the playoffs. How many sacks did he have?
Get rid of him. What a bum. Get rid of Nick Bosa. Larry said it. He's not a playoff performer, even though I do believe Nick Bosa already is 1 sack away from being the 49ers all-time postseason sack leader or whatever it is. But get rid of him because
I'm just saying. You're making him say like get whatever he wants, pay him. I'm saying there's a price.
Okay, yeah, and there's a price.
There has to be a price.
More than
I'm sorry.
Really good, and he is great. He's not really good. He's a great player. To even try to say, Larry,
you got a budget.
You
got a budget.
Sack is buffoonery. I can't believe that came out of your mouth. You want to talk about
you got a budget. You got a budget. You know, you can sit there and say, I want to live in Pacific Heights. But if you can't afford to live in Pacific Heights, you can't live in Pacific Heights. So you can sit there and say, well, I'm not going to live in Pacific Heights. I'm not going to live anywhere. Okay, fine. You can be a baby that way. But the reality is it's not going to get anything done. You're assuming so much. You're assuming that somehow the Niners blew this, and maybe they did. Maybe they didn't.
If you
maybe
can't
they
afford
didn't
to live in Pacific Heights, don't be negotiating on a home price in Seacliff. Nick Bosa is so much better than Pack Heights. He's Seacliff money. He's out in my living room window. I see the Golden Gate Bridge. You don't get a Groupon with that. You don't get any sort of deal on the Baker Beach. I can hit it with a rock.
Once again, you're assuming that his demands are reasonable.
Aren't you assuming some things here too?
No, I'm just pushing back. I'm just pushing back on your maniacal Lynch has got to be fired. Everybody's got to be fired.
If passing, and you're trying to base your entire show in it now.
No, I'm just saying you came in here, John. If John Lynch needs to be fired. I'm saying John Lynch doesn't need to be fired.
I'm saying that could be a repercussion of not getting Nick Bosa signed. That is how much of a
all I'm saying is
up level of something that I'm seeing right there. And if you got a problem with Nick Bosa's agent, then I guess you can't literally negotiate or draft any player represented by Nick Bosa's representation ever again. So that takes a full agent stable right off your one line of lists of available players to even pick from.
Since I don't know, I'm not going to judge because I don't know what he's asking for. For all I don't know Nick Bosa's agent. I don't know him well. All I know is that he's Joey's agent, and Joey got $102 million guaranteed.
Here's what I know.
What should Nick get guaranteed?
Whatever he wants. That's what I know. Pay Lawrence Taylor whatever he wants.
Yeah, that's not really reasonable in the capped era. because then you can't, you don't have anybody else.
They're losing Ayuk anyways, right? Because Kyle Shanahan always thinks he can find another receiver. So get a great year out of Ayuk. Ayuk's probably going to have a monster year. I love him in a walk year. I think Ayuk's the best.
All I'm saying is you've already accused me of carrying their water because I'm just saying don't fire the general manager. That wasn't my statement. That was your statement.
Right.
And all I'm saying is there's a price. There's a walk away price.
Of my argument.
But I'm saying there's a walk-away price.
Okay. So
there has to be a walk-away price. And maybe they're there. My point is you either have to get them signed in the next 48 hours or you have to walk away.
All right. So, Larry, a month ago, we did a show about when Nick Bosa has to be signed. And you had like 3 weeks ago as
20th. I had the 20th. I had 10. Okay. I had 15 days ago.
Okay,
14
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago, as you're got to get it done by then.
Yeah.
So we're already almost 20 days past your event horizon, and for you to just sit here and say
2 weeks,
this is all going to work out. I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't say it was all going to work out. When did I say it was all going to work out? I didn't say it was all going to work out.
But that's the thing. You keep on extending a deadline that you.
I'm not extending the deadline. I'm saying that you have to me, you can't go. The lose is you pay him an outrageous sum of money, but you don't do it till week 3 or 4. That's the lose. You can't do that. So we're now at the moment of truth. And I would say within the last 24 hours to the next 24 hours, we're in that window right now. 7 days before the opener, 5 days before the opener, somewhere in that range, you're in the area where you either have to shit or get off the pot. You either have to sign him or you have to trade him. That's all I'm saying. I don't need the player if he doesn't want to sign. They need him, but they don't. To me, I can make an argument they'd be better off without him. I can make a better now, I don't know what they're being offered. If they're not being offered anything in trade, that's the other thing on this. John Lynch may have put him out there in a trade situation. Maybe nobody wants to pay that price. There's also that. So what if the agent wants $140 million guaranteed? John Lynch says, guys, Jed, Parag, he wants $140 million guaranteed. And they're not budging. Okay, we're not going to pay him $140 million guaranteed. Okay, well then trade him. Here we got a problem. No other team in the league is willing to pay him $140 million guaranteed, and no other team in the league will give us anything in a trade unless they know they can sign him. Now what do? You can't have him. You don't want to pay him, and nobody else will trade for him.
All right. There's your hypothetical question.
I'm just saying. I'm just painting the ugliest picture possible.
Right. Okay.
And saying that it's possible.
Okay. So at that point, we might fire someone, right? I mean,
well, anyway, at that point,
hold on.
I'm not firing the general manager.
Hold on.
I'm not.
All right. First of all, I regret that I said fire John Lynch because it's literally been the focus of your last half hour, and that's
because it's so outrageous. It was so outrageous.
Outrageous, Larry, letting the price of Nick Bosa, the best player you've had on your football team for the last 5 years, 4 years, however long he's been in the NFL, since he's been on the team, he's been the best player on the team.
Should the Chiefs dump their general manager because Chris Jones is not signed?
No, because they got Pelson.
Sometimes guys ask for a lot of money, Damon. Right. Sometimes guys have to kind of be broken down on this.
Okay, so here, let me break it down because I got a guy here named Fork-Tailed Devil saying Damon is acting simplistic AF. Okay, fair. Let me make this as simple as possible. There is simply no price, there is simply no player who can ever guarantee you a Super Bowl. But if you do not meet Nick Bosa's price, I guarantee you ain't going to be in the Super Bowl this year. I guarantee it. The walk-away price to punt on a possibility to win a Super Bowl. That's the question we're really asking here. How much are the 49ers not willing to spend and eliminate any possibility of winning a Super Bowl. That's really the math that they're doing. If you're telling me that at 38 million, we could maybe win a Super Bowl, but at 40 million, we're definitely not going to win a Super Bowl and we got to walk away from that, I'd tell you there's a $2 million difference there that can be bridged in any offseason sequence of decisions that make it fit into the cap. There are certain players you just don't dick around with. I think this is one of them. I would meet Nick Bosa's price, and I would have my Parag Marate, John Lynch, double-headed genius monster figure out all of the details on the back end of this. We get Bosa in and you mop up everything on the back end. That's the way I would have handled it. I think that this is preposterous that he's not signed yet. And if, like you said, if he is holding out and we're several weeks into the regular season and there's no conclusion, that's negligence. That's straight up football negligence. So that's the way I feel about it. And you can say, Damon, you're a 7-year-old, you're emotional, whatever. I pride myself on detached from emotion analysis, but there are certain things that to
the whole argument is based in emotion.
You're overthinking something. Nick Bosa is the best football player you got. Don't go into the football season without that guy. That's the way I would approach this.
Once again, that's way too simple. Way too simple. It's a hard cap.
What about
it's Damon? I mean, that's unbelievable. You could say I have to have a gold-plated roof on my house. Okay, fine. You can have your gold-plated roof, but guess what? You have no windows, you have no doors, you have no carpet, you have no security system, you have no kitchen, you have no bathrooms.
Right,
but guess what? You have a gold-plated roof.
Right, but you're telling, but in the last 3 years,
it's a budget. You got to live within a budget, man. Life's tough.
Budgeting for that gold-plated roof, knowing that I wasn't going to have doors and windows, like that's how this should have been approached. That they've known Nick Bosa was coming to this inflection point for 2 years. They have.
I do agree that it's time to make a move. I do agree that it's time to make a move, but I don't agree that I wouldn't just give him anything he wants. I wouldn't just give him anything he wants. He's not Joe Montana.
The entire team has been built around this moment. Every element of the budget should have been built around this moment. Every single element.
Yeah, but once again, when I agree with you, but we have no idea what the ask is.
Wouldn't you rather?
You don't either.
And figure out why'd you spend that money on Hargrave to not spend what?
But you don't know what they're asking for.
Yeah, I do. They're asking for the most amount of money ever.
Yeah, but I mean, but most could be $1 more, $100 more, or $250 million more. So we don't really know. Well, I mean, at least acknowledge the truth.
Nick Bosa and his agent are dealing with a number that is so fabricated and impossible to meet that it is a full-on bad faith negotiation. Do you really think that? Do you actually believe that Team Bosa is?
I think that they feel like they have the Niners over a barrel and that they're asking for a ton.
They do.
Yeah,
they do. They have all the leverage in the world.
Right, but that could get you traded.
Need Nick Bosa more than Nick Bosa needs the 49ers.
No question. I mean, there's no question about it.
Okay,
but you're still not. I'm still not going to give him anything he wants, no matter what, because it's a cap sport, and I'm not going to blow up my entire team for one defensive end.
You haven't blown up your entire team for one defensive end.
You might have to. Damon, if the guy wants $45 million more guaranteed than the last guy, you will be blowing up your team. These are hard caps. You don't get to choose. You have to make choices. You got to make choices in life.
Well, then,
and maybe they can't afford Nick Bosa.
Nick Bosa, okay? And if they can't afford Nick Bosa with Brock Purdy as their starting quarterback, shame on every single one of their bean counters who have brought us to this moment.
But the only thing is that we don't know how this thing came together. We just don't know how this thing came together. All I will say is it's go time. It's go time. It's time to make it happen.
On an airplane flying to Nick Bosa right now and handling this himself at this point. Are you kidding me?
All I'm saying is it's time to decide, and I'm fine with either decision. I really am. I'm fine with signing him, and I'm fine with trading him. I have no problem trading him if he wants it. If he doesn't want to be here, and because it's a team. You gotta have the rest of the team. This isn't the NBA. It's not like, oh, give Jordan anything he wants. It's Jordan. It's Jordan. It's Jordan. No, it's not. It's 53 guys on the team. You can neutralize Nick Bosa. Is he awesome? Yeah, but he's also had injuries. It's not like he's the perfect player. He didn't have a great postseason. You can neutralize him by getting rid of the ball really quickly. I kind of question the wisdom in putting so much emphasis in the defensive line when it's so easy to neutralize the defensive line. And we've seen it done. So I'd rather probably invest in other spots. But at the end of the day, he's very, very special. You want to have it done. Now we're going to find out if they can get it done. I do think that they have to make a decision here. The one thing they cannot do is they cannot just say, well, we didn't have him for Pittsburgh, but we might have him for the Rams. Oh, we didn't have him for the Rams. We might have him for the Giants. Oh, we didn't have him for the Giants. We might have, because now I think you're getting into mismanagement. Now you're getting into you're going to blow your game, your whole season based on this. You can't do that.
I think you're halfway to the conclusion that you reach. We're already kind of there. This is ridiculous. There are certain people that you do not mess with. This is one of those people, and you can tell me I'm way too simple, way too simplistic.
Well, you are too simple because you're just saying pay him, and you have no idea what he's asking for. So that is too simple. I mean, come on, how could that not be too simple? You're just saying pay him, pay him, pay him. You sound like a guy wearing a jersey in the upper deck. And that's awesome, and that's great. I love the guy wearing a jersey in the upper deck, but he ain't the general manager. And he ain't the general manager for a reason, because he doesn't really see the whole picture. He's just screaming, get me Nick Bosa. And I get it. And you're appealing to the emotional side of the argument, which is it's the 11th hour. You need Nick Bosa. He's great. Sign him. But that's not creative, in no way unique, or in any way nuanced. The reality is many of these negotiations are all of those things, and you're not accounting for any of it. So all I'm saying is you might be right, but you might be wrong. Would you at least give me that? You might be right. John Lynch and Krueg may have screwed this up, but you might be wrong. It may be the agent has upped his demands as time has gone on, and
as he should.
Maybe it's an untenable situation.
That's the thing.
He should if he doesn't want to be signed, but he shouldn't if he's trying to make a deal. I mean, come on. If two people are trying to make a deal, and there's a way, it's like Farhan. Farhan has found a way to be in the deal flow and just offer just enough to not land him. So he's never landed anybody, because at the end of the day, you know, and I know, he doesn't want to land anybody. He really doesn't. He just wants to be able to look the fans in the eye and say, hey, man, I was in the deal flow. And then when they did land somebody, he got cold feet immediately and was like, no, we're getting out of that. We're getting out of that deal. Correa, no. So that's his inclination. But did he negotiate in good faith? I don't know. And are the 49ers negotiating in good faith? I don't know. I mean,
look, that's a little bit revisionist history on the Correa situation, but I don't even want to open up that door and walk through it. It's almost football season. Sign Nick Bosa. There you go.
I mean, that's too simple.
No, I do. What's the number that is the walkaway number? And then you better have so eclipsed that. I mean, when we see what he signed for with another team, it better be so unreasonable. It better be, and the Cincinnati Bengals can no longer to afford Joe Burrow because they signed Nick Bosa.
I agree. If he goes somewhere else and he signs, it has to be
a number I've ever seen in my life.
It would have to be 130, north of 130 guaranteed.
The full see, here's the thing. I think
he wants the whole thing guaranteed.
How is that?
That was what Middlecoff and Haberman were speculating on a week ago. I think they may have hit it. He may want every penny guaranteed.
Then what? There are some players
You give him that?
Deshaun Watson not being one of them, Kirk Cousins necessarily not being one of them, but there are some players that you might walk away from this, well, we don't fully guarantee contracts level of talent. I think he is one of those players. Now, there's a huge assumption of risk there. Any player's career could be over on the next snap we play, but that is the deal with the devil that everyone in the industry has made to just show up to get on the field. So I just don't see how I'm supposed to take the San Francisco 49ers seriously when they were lucky enough to draft Nick Bosa, have had all but the ultimate success without Nick Bosa, with Nick Bosa. They've done everything but win a Super Bowl with Nick Bosa. And this is someone who I just believe is so important to every single defensive concept that they have, that you need him. I mean,
I'll be honest with you. The way Chris runs his D line, I'd rather have 2 or 3 guys. I'd rather have 2 or 3 guys than have one Nick Bosa. Let's hit these supers, and then we got to get out. Matthew Rowley says that is nuts. Bosa's very good. He isn't Tom Brady. Our hopes are not 100% tied to him. Trade him for a young defensive end, getting between 6 and 8 sacks a year. Sign Melvin Ingram and Jason Pierre-Paul and get a first-round pick. There you go. There's one. We got another one here from Matthew. He says, how about Bosa for Montez Sweat, Chase Young, and a second?
Doesn't that leave you in the exact same situation you can't figure out now? A year from now? You're just punting on the same problem, right?
In a way. Though those guys are probably not going to get the kind of money that this guy gets because they're not as good. Flav says 49ers were able to get CMC last year for $1 million and changed everything. Every million counts. You can't just write a blank check. 49ers are doing it right. There you go. We got another one here from Don. He says, the truth is both sides screwed up. It's ridiculous to be fighting over crazy money at this point if you're Bosa. Come on. Well, we'll find out. We're going to find out. I do agree with Damon. If they did trade him and he goes somewhere else and we find out it's $110 million guaranteed, yeah, there's going to be hell to pay on that. There's going to be a lot of people going, you're cheap. G.I. Jones says, if you want to know if Bosa's worth the money, just ask how many sacks he gave you this postseason. He's easily neutralized. Give me picks and players. Wow. This is not the response I thought we would see. I thought more people would be like, gotta have him. Matthew, do the 2001-2018 Patriots make the deal? No.
Well, but they had Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference there. Like
they also had Richard Seymour and Teddy Bruschi, and those guys were pretty damn good.
Yeah, you had a really good defense with a very good defensive coach. The Patriots defense has always been pretty damn good. You add Tom Brady to it, now you win multiple. How about this?
But what he's saying is the Patriots always just moved off. They didn't fall in love with it. In fact, realistically, when they won their last Super Bowl, who was even their best defensive player? Dante Hightower? I don't know. Michael L. says if they identified this and traded him before the draft, like Damon said they should have done, the entire fan base would have gone crazy and called negligence for not seeing the negotiation through.
Well, I mean,
probably right.
But
probably
sure.
right.
But look at it this way. There shouldn't be a single element of fan concern that ever is even factored into the negotiation of any player. Fans are irrelevant outside of buy the ticket, sit upstairs, make some noise, and then go home. That's it. Fans don't mean anything to the equation of the business of football. They really don't.
Flav says Bosa's very valuable, but not as rare as Aaron Donald. They should split the $4 million, but only works if Bosa will budge. If not, then they have to win week 1 to show they can still win games without him. Yeah, otherwise you lose even more leverage. We got Flav again. If 49ers offered $35 million 2 months ago, Bosa would have wanted $50 million.
Again,
this is the process you have to go through. Bosa wouldn't demand the exact number he would take right off the bat. Not how it works. We don't know. There's a lot of unknowns here. I mean, I think we all have to acknowledge that. G.I. Jones. It's simple. Bosa wants like a GOAT contract without even being the GOAT. He fan FUK all the way off. He can FUK all the way off. Numbers don't lie in the cap era, not negligence.
Again, what are you saying? Bosa's not the GOAT. What the GOAT? That's the dumbest. He's the reigning defensive player of the year. He's 25 years old.
He's pretty good for sure.
He is as special a player as you will find in football. Full stop.
We are going to do this every Monday after Niner football. I don't know if it will get this contentious, but we will be doing this every Monday after football. So listen to me. Hold on. Wait, let me just talk here. Let me get this promo down. If you guys have a name for the show, right now we called it the 49er Wake Up Call. Definitely shoot it to Damon or I. I want everybody. We have 735 people in the room right now on this Monday morning on Labor Day. Happy Labor Day, by the way, everybody. We are going to be doing this. I want you guys all to like and subscribe right here, and I want you to go over to Damon's channel and like and subscribe over there.
Because here's how it goes. Come Monday next week, after this game in Pittsburgh, Larry and I are going to be at it at 8 a.m., 8:30. We'll figure out the start time, but it'll be, pretty routine. And we will always promote it, so you'll know where it'll be. But it's going to oscillate between my channel and Larry's channel until we can figure out a way to combine and stream on both at the same time. But please go ahead and subscribe for the single best 49ers Cup, better than whatever this was. But I actually think there was an awful lot of interesting stuff in here. You and I are just thinking about things differently, and that's what makes you and I thinking together about football so valuable for listeners, subscribers, and fans. So please, if you are watching, subscribe to Damon Bruce Plus. Larry, you have an incredible audience. You have a very smart audience. I like to think that I have the same thing, and I really think that there is a chance, small as it may be, there is a chance that you and I can have the most elevated, interesting, enlightened, informed show about the San Francisco 49ers that is less emotional than today got, that is dealing with just what really matters. And that's the thing. Like, to me, it's all numbers. It's all numbers. Numbers can be manipulated and figured out and massaged in a million different ways. What is not a number is Nick Bosa. He is so cataclysmically important to any chance of not just winning this year, but in the subsequent years you're now also worried about. He is there's no winning without him. There's no ultimate prize winning without him. There really isn't. And
I kind of disagree, because I talked to Chris the other day, and Chris was like, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna play my starters, but I'm also gonna play my twos, and I'm gonna play my threes."
Right. He keeps.
And the bottom line is, if you pay Nick all this money, he's awesome. But was it great to get Hargrave? Yeah, it was great to get Hargrave. Is it great to have Bosa? Yeah, it's great to have Bosa. But you lost Ebukam, and you lost Menahue, and you lost Jordan Willis, and those guys combined for 91 snaps on a team that almost went to the Super Bowl last year. So there's lots of different ways to cut it up. I mean, you could say, hey, you know what? You got to have greatness up front. Okay, they have greatness up front. Or you could say, you know what? You really need depth. I don't know. I don't know which is the answer, because I don't like their depth nearly as much without the guys they lost, and we'll see. Maybe they went and got Hargrave because they envisioned this happening. We all thought of it as, hey, they want two guys in their front four who can command double teams. Maybe they knew this thing was happening, but if they did, then they probably have to have negotiated a trade.
And Ebukam should still be on this team. You know what I mean? Like there was a way to anticipate couldn't get a deal done with Nick Bosa. At no point in time have the 49ers made a single move to even suggest that they ever thought about this in any other light than, of course, we're going to sign him. Okay? I mean, that's the thing. This is where I start looking at the front office and going, what the hell are you doing? because there wasn't a single move to suggest that they were thinking of a football season without Nick Bosa. So you've reached a football season, and if now you subtract him from the equation, your equation is so massively different than what everyone anticipated it to be that I think it's incredibly damaging to the Niners' chances of winning anything. And you're right.
We know,
that.
Damon. You've said it the whole time. Sign Nick Bosa. Sign Nick Bosa.
Well,
Anthony says Nick Bosa signs a contract in the tunnel at Pittsburgh.
Sweet, get him out there.
Don says call it the Dame Krueg Monday Showdown. Tab D says Damon's great. Ashraw family says this is great. Tom Kuntz, I'll call him Kuntz. Honor your current contract, Bosa. Well, he's honoring it. We got Mark who says Damon's great and wrong. So we got we've got Freaky. We are doomed. There you go.
Look,
all right. Hey, good stuff, everybody. I got to run to practice. Like and subscribe right here. Like and subscribe to Damon's channel as well. One more super. G.I. Jones, Alden Smith, and more sacks got paid less. He's good, not the GOAT. If he wants $35 million a year, show me 35 sacks a year. We won't win with a broken quarterback. Give me Bosa for an O-lineman. All right. Great stuff. Great banter back and forth. Let me do one quick minute from the sponsors, and then we'll bolt for the door. We are brought to you by our sponsors, and our sponsors are fantastic.
Real quick before you go, Larry brought me to lunch was it Thursday or Friday? We went to Pig and a Pickle, and there's one thing about Larry telling you about his sponsors. He has to. They're his sponsors. I'm not paid by Pig and a Pickle. This is really good barbecue, and it's not good barbecue based on the sliding scale of they don't know barbecue in Northern California, so any barbecue is good. No. This is good. You could serve Pig and a Pickle in Oklahoma, in Texas. Like, it was delicious. So there you go, Larry. I wanted to give Pig and a Pickle, and I got to love another Damon. Damon over at Pig and a Pickle, thank you very much for lunch. It was outstanding.
Let's thank them. This is their location in Emeryville. All right.
A Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
All right, coming down the home stretch on the Krueg Show. That does it for the live stream. I'm off to Santa Clara for practice, and then I'll do some locker room interviews. Tonight at, I believe, 6 o'clock, Grant Cohn stops by for a little hit. And then tomorrow we got more stuff on the Krueg Show, more practice, more videos. Hopefully we'll talk about a Nick Bosa signing. Everybody like and subscribe here. Go over to Damon Bruce Plus and like and subscribe over there. We're going to be doing this every morning after Niner football. For Damon, I'm Larry. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring.